Well, good afternoon, everybody. Rutherford Weather here with you. It is the 6th of June, and we are in a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather today. Now, we popped on here just to give you information on the special weather statement that can be considered, honestly, like a heavy thunderstorm. It's under severe limits. But here we are in Rutherford County, and you can see that it is for the northwestern corner, not quite to downtown Murfreesboro, but includes places like Overall, Windrow, not even quite down to Eagleville and Rockvale or Barfield, but does include Blackman, Amaville, Rocky Fork, the Florence area over to Hickory Grove, I guess all of Smyrna there, and all of Laverne. And here is the culprit, the storm from Brentwood down to Franklin approaching Nolensville right now. And more info on this special weather statement. National Weather Service saying that could have 50-mile-per-hour wind gust, some pea-size hail with that as well. And we already had a pretty significant thunderstorm that blew down some small tree limbs and things of that nature that came through the downtown area where it is currently raining and things of that nature. But popping out to give you the wider view, there is a tornado watch in the red here from Clarksville, a lot of northwestern Middle Tennessee and southern Kentucky. And the purple boxes are special weather statements. The orange boxes that are down in Alabama are severe thunderstorm warnings, special weather statements, if I said watch. There is one that has been going for a while, Robertson County, but now on into, the Westmoreland area up toward State Route 109. So that's kind of the situation with the storms here this afternoon. So nothing awfully severe going on right now, but a strong storm will be pushing through. Let's take a look toward Triune, Amaville, and from there, you can see we're looking off toward this storm and can see the heavier cloud base and whatnot there. And of course, you go to that camera and it does that, right? So here is another view looking off towards Smyrna and Laverne. So still a ways off. What was the motion on this? It was moving east at 35 miles an hour. So I think meteorologist Justin Bailey is on here with me as well. And, maybe thoughts on today, a level 2 out of 5 today, a level 2 out of 5 tomorrow. And the HRRR's had a little hard time trying to figure out where these storms are going to line up and go and move and do all that kind of thing. So it's kind of whack-a-mole with storms this afternoon, it looks like. So playing a
Sorry,
little.
Brian, I didn't realize I was on mute
That's
still.
okay.
Yeah, no, you're right. Kind of got a cluster of storms popping up all around us, and stuff just kind of going pop everywhere. Nothing real super organized at this point in time. The Storm Prediction Center does have a mesoscale discussion out right now, which includes at least the eastern 2/3 of Rutherford County. But they're saying a watch is about a 40% chance of issuing a watch of some type, but they do talk about how the flow and the wind shear is relatively weak, and they're concerned about the upgrowth and organization of the storm clusters today. A feature 2 monitor off to our northwest is a little area of spin in Missouri that you can see on visible satellite called an MCV, mesoscale convective vortex, kind of a remnant area of circulation from that large cluster of storms last night. And as that gets closer to the mid-state later this evening, could have a little bit more heightened wind shear associated with it and could slightly uptick the severe weather probabilities later this evening.
Well, and all the model runs that I've seen, it's going to be very scattered this afternoon and maybe more organized between 7 to 9 o'clock tonight. But here is that mesoscale discussion that you talked about. Scattered storms in this unstable warm sector. Left the office this afternoon just in time to get here and get everything set up, and noticed how hot it was outside. It sure did have that summertime thunderstorm complex kind of a feel to it here. Does it seem kind of reminiscent of that for you?
Yeah, it kind of has your typical just meh
Yeah.
humidity levels out there, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here in the office. I'm here in Smyrna. Blue Angels are in town this weekend. They're flying and roaring overhead, but you've definitely heard the lulls in the flight activity as storms have been in the area. So that's interfering with things up here a little bit. Big event going on this weekend is going to be the Smyrna Air Show, and the weather's going to have a big impact on that, and the crowds coming out here.
Yeah, I would think so. And unfortunately, I mean, it's only every 2 years and it's such a great event. We are where I'm situated, it's kind of in that area where they begin their turn and head back to the airport area. And so I hear them here pretty frequently. And I couldn't tell whether it was thunder or whether it was, the Blue Angels or whatever was up flying at times, and then all of a sudden the sound changed and it was a little more thunder, and I think they probably been grounded a little bit right now. But this sounds like the wind here is picking up pretty considerably. Let's no, it's just heavy rain coming in right now, not very windy. But this is not going to be. This is not one of the storms that is going to cause problems. It doesn't look like. It's kind of very unorganized. Um, from what we can see, you've got some storm activity up toward the Percy Priest Lake, east of Smyrna, up towards Silver Hill, right before you go into Wilson County. Nice downpour there. No lightning with that much. Maybe some over toward Noreen, but the storm Nolensville that's knocking on the door of northwestern Rutherford County, Rock Springs up next. That one has the most energy with it, it would appear.
Yeah, but still not seeing anything crazy severe. You're going to have some strong gusts, 40, 45 miles per hour. So just nothing real super organized. See any hail in them, like could be some small hail coming out of that cell just north of Woodbury, going through Auburntown and kind of approaching, I think, Liberty and Smithville out that way. And as far as Rutherford County, don't see anything like that right now. Um, you know, we'll keep an eye on it, and as long as it is special weather statement, we'll be here. And if it goes severe, we'll probably be getting back on a little more frequently.
Yeah, a little more concerned and worried about it. Yeah, here's that where you were talking about just north of Woodbury. And if you look at the CC, you can see just a little bit area there. So that could definitely be a little bit of wind shifting around there as well. So pretty potent little storm. And that's kind of the atmosphere that we're going to be in. Talk a little bit about too, expecting really more storms to form back here in this area, and that's that area you were talking about. If we get storms to pop out here, it could begin a line known as an MCS. There was talk about, could we have some derechos this weekend and things of that nature. That's just a huge line of storms and a big wind bag. And so that's really the area that we've got to be looking for any development. Will this that's coming through here now cause our area to stabilize, or does that just set down maybe some boundaries that it could interact with later?
No, I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity for instability to build back in behind this way. If you look on satellite, there's plenty of breaks in the sky, plenty of sunshine, plenty of heat and humidity, and instability will come back. And as that NCV up in Missouri migrates this way, I would expect a more organized complex of storms to be coming through our area this evening.
Yeah, the let's see. Humidity
I
has
would like
dropped
to
a
play with this. How
little.
do I?
I say the humidity has dropped a little bit with the rain cooled air, but it's going to definitely have a chance to, maybe replenish itself. And Justin was just talking about some breaks in the cloud cover, and definitely seeing that on the satellite back here in West Tennessee, where we expect that development to get started and bring our evening energy.
If you go back either to the west and show that area back in Missouri and just hit play, you'll be able to see that spin on satellite.
Yeah, I don't think through the WeatherWise app that I'm able to play the satellite just yet. So I'd have to pull it up on another source here, but I can surely do that. For those who are just now joining and popping on, and it's like, oh gosh, here we go. We have a special weather statement. So we're just on kind of talking a little bit. You're going to hear thunder, um, see the lightning. It's coming into Smyrna, Laverne now. Blackman, you'll be up next here, and over toward Gladeville, Murphy, Hickory Grove, Green Acres, Belmead, Florence. Every time I say Green Acres, I think of the show. Blackman, Franklin Road Estates, just not even to downtown Murfreesboro, but does include like Old Fort Parkway. That's the special weather statement. We'll see if they continue it on, and could have wind gusts of 50 miles an hour, some very small hail. Not seeing hail with this much now over toward Woodbury, between Woodbury and Smithville, maybe some.
Which
So
surprisingly, that storm doesn't have a special weather statement.
it's odd, isn't it? I don't know if the hail size is not that large or what. There's one storm. Just looking over the National Weather Service chat to see if they're saying much of anything about it, and not a whole lot being said. I think they're letting one severe thunderstorm warning go, and they did. So, really, Middle Tennessee, with the exception of south of Winchester, is warning free at this point.
Will you allow me to experiment with sharing my screen to show
Yeah,
that satellite?
yeah, do that because I'm having a little issue finding my satellite tab is like out.
We,
So
we've talked about doing this and just haven't played with this element of Discord before.
might as well play right now, huh? I don't think I have to do anything. Once you share your screen, then I can pop it up here. Okay, and let me see if I need to do this. There you go.
So if you can see my screen, you should be able to see that swirling complex of clouds over south central Missouri that is drifting east southeast. As that gets into our region later this evening, um, we'll have slightly heightened wind shear and more energy in the atmosphere as the sunshine comes back out behind this round of storms.
Yeah, and you can
We'll,
see
we'll organize
a good bit
throughout
of clearing here in western Middle Tennessee, all the way back to Memphis. I mean, it's probably maybe an hour or so away from having the sun popping out here again, I would think.
right.
So this definitely kind of looks like maybe an evening kind of thing we've got to be on the lookout for. Let me switch back over here. Um, I am the one place where I pull up the HRRR. For me, it sometimes does really weird things. So I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm not going to do that. But see if I can pull it up from a different source, or if you have it handily or readily available.
I'm going back to you.
Okay. So we got moved over here. Let me
How to do that?
worked out pretty good what you just did there. So, all right. So that's temperature. There we go. That's what I wanted, composite reflectivity. All right, so let me pull this on over. And I can make it a little bit bigger for you here. I think I made it bigger the wrong way. Now, there we go. And we're going to loop it. Get it all the way back. So this does kind of show the initial line and then more coming through. That's tomorrow back out in West Tennessee. But it doesn't show much development until kind of late, does it?
Right about sunset, it fires off a new round of convection.
There it comes right through there. Yep. Didn't want to take a slice of that. So here's now, and then here's what's coming later this evening. And then what you see in Arkansas is what will set the table for tomorrow. Tomorrow looks like an interesting day in terms of, what happens in the morning. Does the morning, trouble us in the afternoon? Does it stabilize us a little bit? I think we're going to have lots of breaks in the sun, like you were saying, like much like today. But the complexes are diving a little further south with each day as we go. And tomorrow, I've seen some runs that have it here, from Nashville to the south, some runs that have it, maybe Bedford County to the south. So wherever that begins its dive southward, tomorrow, I think there's still a bit of a question mark there from everything I can see and read. And this special weather statement goes on for another 9 minutes here. We'll see if they reissue that. So just so we don't forget, I think, for those who watch us, catch what we're doing here, if we're not talking pretty intently about a certain area and giving you street levels and that kind of thing, that it's not terribly serious, although these are strong storms that are coming through, but just wanted to kind of come on just in case things ramped up, because we've had that happen here. They ramp up right over us, and then a special weather statement becomes a warning pretty quick. And, just to calm any fears about what's going on out there right now. But the storms, Laverne, Smyrna, you're about to get in on it if you're not already in Smyrna. There's Nissan Drive, South Lowry. This is kind of splitting Smyrna in half at this point. Trying to find the airport, and there it is, the Smyrna Airport. So that's where the air show is going on tomorrow and Sunday. And so definitely into the heavier rain here, thunder, lightning. That has the most lightning. I did notice that just right around Kirkland, College Grove, that'll be coming up toward Windrow in a moment, may have some decent sized hail with it. Use my inspector tool here to see. Showing grapple. So, I mean, some of that may be coming down, and it may be pea size or smaller even. But could have some small hail with that. And that's kind of showing some areas, but it's not going to be especially big, I wouldn't think. So that's the special weather statement. They have issued one just to the south here that kind of cuts off at our county border. So here is the Rutherford County border, and that's Bedford County and Marshall County down there. Our county border kind of goes up more like this. So anyway, not including us here in Rutherford, which makes me wonder about any extension of this one. And then once this goes on through, like we were talking about a moment ago, we've got some clearing. Pull up the Memphis radar. And there you go. Already a special weather statement on this little storm that's popped up here. But more storms are beginning to fire up out here. And this little bit of clearing is apparently going to give us enough to get storms going here. And then if we do a little movement on the storms, you can see in the last several radar frames how they go from something to a special weather statement on this storm here. So in 30 minutes, it was nothing, and now special weather statement. So that's kind of some of what we'll see here.
That storm's got a nice little appendage on it.
I noticed that.
What those velocities look like?
Let's see. Got a little bit right there.
Some decent inflow.
So that's maybe what sets the table for this evening, you know?
Yeah, it might be why there is, we do have a 5% tornado threat. There's obviously a little tornado watch out there right now.
And by the way, that tornado watch
today
does not include us.
Just a severe warning.
Sure did. Just popped up here. So severe thunderstorm warning is now in effect for us here. It's going to be for Smyrna, Florence, Lascassas, Auburntown, Gladeville, Watertown, over toward Alexandria and our nearby neighboring counties. So give me a quick moment here to get things set up as we go live here for radio as well. So severe thunderstorm warning has just been issued for us here in Rutherford County. One of the reasons why we were popping on here today. I really didn't think that was going to happen, but it did.
I can see why.
All right. Welcome in Rutherford weather coverage on 1019, 100.5 WGNS, WGNSradio.com. We're on the Rutherford Weather Channel as well here this afternoon. And we've got our first severe thunderstorm warning. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect for the next hour. Now, that's not going to take an hour to get out here of Rutherford County, but we do have the warning right now that includes areas like Smyrna, east of Laverne, Hickory Grove, Florence, Silver Hill, and that's over the county line. So it's going to maybe take 30 minutes to get this out of here in Rutherford County. But this severe thunderstorm warning has 60-mile-per-hour winds and maybe hail up to 3/4 of an inch. So could have some penny-sized hail with this. So this is mainly a wind threat here. And for some reason, our take a look at our winds, and we see a few pockets there. Meteorologist Justin Bailey is on here with us as well, and you are kind of in the north end of the county, so this is probably a good vantage point for you to see. What are you noticing out there?
Raining hard, got lightning and thunder popping, and then adjusted to
Well, this warning goes for another hour. We'll pull up the text on that. North Rutherford County, southern Wilson County, north central Cannon County until 4:30. Again, 60-mile-per-hour winds, penny-sized hail. Murfreesboro, Lebanon, Smyrna, Laverne, Watertown, Walter Hill, Rural Hill, Auburntown, Lascassas, Cedars of Lebanon, Milton, Gladeville, some of those areas in adjoining counties, but that's the warning right now. Let's take a look off to That's Wilson County. That's not the one I wanted to go to. Here is a look at the heavy rain that is falling in the Siegel area as we look off back toward the Smyrna Laverne area. Not really able to see a whole lot from that camera vantage point. But as we continue our Rutherford weather coverage, we're not only on our Rutherford weather video channels, but on 1019, 100.5 WGNS. And familiar voice is Ray Miller, weatherology meteorologist. And Ray, here we go. We had a special weather statement. We've been on covering that on the on Rutherford weather here for a few moments, and then all of a sudden, boom! Here comes the warning. I really didn't know whether they were going to extend the special weather statement, but went with the warning instead.
Yeah, it was kind of a borderline decision whether they would extend the special weather or go ahead with a severe thunderstorm warning. And it is kind of a low end severe thunderstorm warning. We're on at kind of the minimum in terms of severe winds, but there is a pretty clear pocket indicated on radar where we do have some of those stronger winds potentially gusting up to 60 miles an hour. And that is focused right around the Smyrna area right now. And that'll be moving to the east over toward Walter Hill. It's not a really wide area of strong winds, and most of it will likely be below severe minimums, but there's just that potential for one or two isolated gusts up to 60 as it moves into areas right along Interstate 840 over the next couple of minutes and then eventually over toward Walter Hill. So if you are in that area, remain inside a strong building, stay away from windows until this moves through. The good news here, we're not looking at really hardly anything in the way of hail, perhaps a little bit of dime to penny sized hail at most, but probably not even that. The storm not particularly intense in terms of that hail production, but we are seeing that indication of strong winds, and that's what's prompted this severe thunderstorm warning for roughly calling about the northern third of Rutherford County, in effect until 4:30.
Yeah, I was just doing some inspection on that, and I mean, we're talking about maybe 1 pixel of 40-mile-per-hour winds, 1 pixel of 54, showing up on the velocity. So it's going to be very isolated where that happens. But if it does, that's enough to maybe bring down tree branches and that kind of thing.
Right. And what we're dealing with as well are small pockets of downburst winds, and the radar is going to have a little bit of a struggle picking those up before they develop and occur. This is not the sort of storm that has a really well organized, expanding cold pool where we have a huge area of strong winds that the radar can very accurately and effectively pick up. Instead, this is a storm that really is just producing these relatively small downbursts here and there. Uh, we hate to use the word unpredictable in the weather business, but it really kind of is a little trickier to predict where those strongest winds would be. But again, right now, right around the Smyrna area would be a good bet. And perhaps now just a little east and southeast of Smyrna, a couple more indications perhaps of a little bit more significant wind there. So right over Interstate 840 between Smyrna and Walter Hill, that's going to be the focus with this storm for the time being. And then it'll just kind of ride along the Rutherford and Wilson County line as it moves to the east.
All right, very good, Ray. Thank you so much for the update. Weatherology meteorologist Ray Miller joining, and meteorologist Justin Bailey is on board here with us as well. And we're watching. Here is a view of the interstate, which would be trying to find out which camera. I-24 east of Sam Ridley. This is really going to be closer to 840. I would think. So I may need to choose a different camera here just to try out. Here is 24 at 840. And not really seeing a whole lot there in terms of wind with some,
When you
I
when
guess.
you look at the storm on radar, the actual state of the radar, or of the storm on radar, and trying to develop part of that Boeing state, like you look for in that classic straight line wind. That I think part of the issue we have here in Rutherford County with the special storm moving west to east is our location due south of the radar dome.
Yeah.
So the radar is built to detect winds going forwards or away, and when you've got a storm moving parallel to the radar, those winds are moving parallel to the radar. It really doesn't pick up how strong those winds truly are. if that
So
makes any sense.
yeah,
I'm trying to say it. So you got to look more for the radar signature, not so much the wind speeds. The radar's not going to get a good sample of wind speeds moving horizontal to it.
well, I think we can give you a better look at this from the B&A terminal radar, which is what I have pulled up here, and I think you can see that, Justin. So here's kind of what Justin was talking about, and I think this maybe shows a little better depiction of some of what we're seeing. There's kind of the leading edge, and where you see
Yeah,
the
yeah,
brighter red colors, that's the leading edge of that wind. And if you go in and pull in a bit of an inspection of that from the terminal radar, I mean, it's picking up 30, 40 mile per hour winds, but that's kind of what we're talking about. And Ray was mentioning those downbursts and how unpredictable. I mean, even a terminal radar that's looking from a little different location is not going to give you that. And what we're talking about, a terminal radar, I'll pull out here, and this is the view that you can get to it, but you have to be pretty close. This is TBNA. KOHX is the National Weather Service, and when you pull out there, well, you can see it's a much wider area that that radar beam is looking for. But you know, the Earth is curved, so the further you go out from it, you know, you're looking higher up as well. But that may be a little more than you wanted to hear on that, but it gives us another perspective, which is maybe good in this situation. But even on the National Weather Service radar, we're seeing those Boeing looking segments in the velocities here, maybe. So
yes.
pull in here and see if I can do a sample or two. Before, you know, we had a few little areas that would show even higher wind gust in pockets, but not seeing really anything that jumps out terribly right now. Here is what you're used to seeing, maybe, and that's the reflectivity, how hard it's raining. And so, right here on this leading edge is where you're going to get some of those higher winds as it pushes in. So, we're talking about Mona right now, Silver Hill coming up, Vine coming up. So it's going to be quickly out of the county, I would think. This line goes further down toward Florence, and there's the Riverview subdivision. There's 840 in Sulphur Springs, so Leanna community right in there amongst the thick of things. So who's up next? Well, areas toward Walter Hill, Leanna, Las Casas, the Riverwood, Jerrison's Farm area, Valley View, and continuing further to the east. Just got an update now, so it's over 840, and that leading edge now coming up on Highway 231. So Highway 231 is next in line, and then after that, we'll get into Las Casas. Then after that, we'll push it on out of the county toward Wilson. So another 38 minutes on this warning. I don't think the warning is really it may still have Rutherford County included in it. But if you're in areas back behind this, Florence to Smyrna, Laverne, you've already gone through any severe part of this. And as Ray mentioned as well, it's worth noting again that this is marginally severe. See if the National Weather Service has anything to say here. Good microburst. That is what we're seeing. So that was a term that we heard just a second ago, microburst. And maybe, you know, Justin, when we hear the term microburst, if you've ever heard it, if there's been like an airplane crash or things of that nature, sometimes you hear that term microburst. That is just a really big rush of wind down to the ground, and it pushes things out, right? And so that microburst can have some very strong isolated areas of high wind.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, you won't see them on radar before they're actually. A lot of times they'll be developed and gone before a radar can even detect them.
This is kind of
So
what
you kind of look for a storm that could maybe have the potential of doing that, of collapsing on itself, and issue those warnings in advance of time.
yeah. And I think that's probably what was done here, just kind of a big blanket warning. They saw some areas of that, had some reports in Nolensville of microburst winds, and I think that's what led them to go ahead and put this out for the northern half. The National Weather Service issues all the special weather statements, watches. They coordinate with the Storm Prediction Center on watches, and all the warnings come out of Nashville for us from the National Weather Service. So um, this storm pushing past 231 right now. So next up will be State Route 266, and that is the Las Casas Pike. Justin travels that pretty frequently, I would think. Simmons Bluff Road out there, Salem Road, St. John's Road, Valley View. When you get over Canesville and St. John's, that's on over into Wilson County. There's Holly Grove Road and Dunaway's Chapel coming up on that area here pretty quick. And I know it may be a little hard to see this little dotted white line. Working with WeatherWise to hopefully they're pushing out lots of updates to the app. But there's kind of the county border right there. And so this is actually going to let me pull out and continue to keep the county border there, which is really cool. But that's as it gets on into the nearby communities in our adjacent counties. I didn't finish my thought about WeatherWise. I told them, it would be really great if you could highlight your service area. We're hyper focused on Rutherford County. Others may have, 10 counties that they try to cover the weather. Some are doing national coverage, which it doesn't make total sense for that. But to be able to highlight your area. So like on our map, we could have Rutherford County highlighted. You would be able to see it very easily. And they were very responsive to that. So they're really building a pretty cool app here. I know Justin has converted, and others have as well. They have trimmed the warning to take Laverne and Smyrna out of the severe thunderstorm warning. So now it really is going along 840. So 840 to the east. And as far south as Compton Road, Browns Mill, Lofton. And let's see, that would be Thompson Lane, which turns into Compton Road. So really there to the north up to Valley View. That's kind of the corner of the county that we're on special watch for, and out toward Milton. Let's take a look at the winds here and try our terminal radar just to see, because it was showing the winds a little bit better. And there you go. So where you see the brighter colors, you see the darker kind of maroon color, but the lighter red colors, those are areas where the winds are a little higher. Right now, this is showing maybe up to 40. It's got a quick update there. There's a pocket toward Noreen up near Baird's Mill and Holloway. But nothing showing on radar that is even severe criteria. But again, with these downbursts, it could be there and gone before the radar sweep even comes around. We'll give you a look at the reflectivity here once again. It's what you normally see. And you can kind of follow that, honestly. Got a new pen tool, and I keep wanting to go to my old one here. But anywhere along this leading edge, that's where you're going to get maybe the higher winds. They could be behind it just a little bit, but the wind's definitely going to pick up. Last cast is Milton. It's already picked up there toward Noreen. So Rutherford County will be out of it here in just a few. Once it kind of clears, so this area that's in the orange, once it clears Las Casas and Milton, we're in good shape. This is near the super speedway. This is 231 crossing over the county line into Wilson, where we've got the rain falling right now. Not a whole lot of lightning with this, or not as much as it had before, so I'm not sure if this storm isn't, well, a little stronger to the north. Maybe that southern edge is just lost a little bit of its oomph. Are seeing some downpours coming into downtown Murfreesboro. It's raining in Rockvale and Versailles. Coming into Link pretty soon, but that is not severe warn, just some heavy rain. Only one lightning strike. Lightning strike. It just happened a few minutes ago around Highway 99, so that is not a very electrical part of the storm. And then what you can see in Middle Tennessee is a pretty good area of clearing. And if you were on Rutherford Weather before we went on radio, Justin and I spent some time talking about this area. We may even see the sun pop out a bit later on. It's not going to be unheard of to see that. And if we get that clearing, you can tell, looks like it's going to be a pretty good, a little bit before we get into that. But once we do, if we can get some sunshine and the even if it's filtered sunshine, temperatures are going to rise again. And then if we look back toward West Tennessee, we're seeing some storms begin to pop up and mature there. We actually have a warning in Paris that's going to continue to go north. But the point is, this would be the region that we have to watch for maybe some development of storms for the afternoon and evening. And future radar kind of depicted right around sunset time for a couple of hours between 7 and 9 o'clock could be a time when we get some storms that could be possibly severe this afternoon. A level 2 out of 5 for severe weather for us here in Rutherford County today and again tomorrow. It's like another rinse and repeat kind of situation for tomorrow is going to be possible. A lot of events going on too. We talked about the air show going on in Rutherford County, in Smyrna tomorrow and Saturday. The radio station, Melissa Miller, she is going to Eagleville. They're having I guess it's their, is it the first Friday? Yeah, first Friday they have an activity there, a little singing and whatnot. But this storm has really lost its punch. I mean, in a big way. I mean, we've even lost our heavier downpours of, like reds and greens and or reds and yellows there. That's because I was on the Memphis radar. No wonder. There we go. Still with a punch. But I think Las Casas, our Rutherford County area, small sliver still left. The southern extent of that storm has really lost its punch here now. So don't really see any of the high winds there. Very little lightning in that area. So I think it gives us the opportunity to do a step back here, especially for radio. So if you're listening on 101.9, 100.5, WGNSradio.com, we're going to go back to regular programming there. And if you want to continue to listen to coverage of the storms, we'll be glad to have you pop on over to the Rutherford Weather Channel. Where can you find that? Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch. We're broadcasting there. So check us out. Go on to RutherfordWX.com, and there are icons to those social platforms. You can like, subscribe, turn on notifications for those, and continue to watch coverage. We will break back in if there are any warnings that are issued for our area. And again, I think just before we break away, so you know, we may have rain, storms continuing here for the next little bit, but do expect that we may have several hours that we don't see any precipitation, and then more storms popping up this afternoon and evening. So kind of keep that in mind. Maybe the 7 to 9 time frame, at least on one of the future radars that we take a look at, kind of indicate that that's a possibility. So with that, we head back to regular programming on WGNS and WGNSradio.com. And here's a first look at your traffic. Do a couple of little quick things here. Another 10 seconds, and then Ray Miller is going to kind of give us an update here as we go along. Get our programming back going here. And there we go. Meteorologist Ray Miller, we were just talking about how the storm is just about out of the county here, Ray.
Just about. And the heart of the gusty winds have now moved out of the county. It did become a little more organized here in the last couple of minutes, a little larger area where we're seeing at least the potential for some 60-mile-an-hour winds now northeast of Walter Hill. But most of the severe activity now to the north into Wilson County and moving away. So we'll have a little bit of a break now, and then we need to turn our attention to the next line of storms coming in from the northwest. That'll be coming in here a little bit later on this evening. Tornado watch in effect for northwestern parts of Tennessee up into western Kentucky. And we'll have to see how that line evolves in the wake of this one. This one taking a little bit of the energy out of the atmosphere, but not much. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that next line of storms as well. But for the time being, things beginning to at least temporarily calm down for Rutherford County. Still officially the northeastern portion of the county under that severe thunderstorm warning until 4:30. But most of the significant activity has moved off to the northeast. A little bit of heavy rainfall and small hail from Murfreesboro on down to the south, down into parts of Bedford County, but nothing severe with any of that activity at this time.
So, Ray, we were just kind of talking about that and went ahead and went back on radio since it was just a small sliver of the county and most of the wind on the leading edge had pushed through. And we were talking about, you know, there's some areas of clearing that are going on, or at least some breaks in the sunshine or the breaks in the cloud cover. And that's not too far away. And that is the area where these this second line of storms may be popping up and could push in 7 to 9 time frame right around sunset. Looks like maybe according to the HRRR. What are your thoughts on this evening?
Yeah, that's about the time frame I'm thinking of as well. And we've been reading some of the discussions from the Storm Prediction Center and looking at some of the information that they've been putting out. And with that little bit of extra instability out ahead of the second line, they could maintain their strength as they move into the Nashville area and then into our listening area as well. So they bear watching. These storms will have taken a little bit of the energy out of the atmosphere, but enough that those storms will be worth watching as they move through here. Again, we'll have a couple hours break, and then that main line moves in a little bit later on tonight. Just one last bit of information before I leave. The warning, as we thought for Rutherford County, has now been canceled, and actually canceled for Wilson County as well, as the wind signature we were looking at has virtually disappeared in the last couple of radar scans. So a little bit less concern now. The warning no longer in effect, was scheduled to run until 4:30. Canceled a few minutes early.
Well, that is definitely good news. I think the next things to look for is if there is some type of watch issued for our area. We're not under the tornado watch like in western Middle Tennessee until 8. So I think that would give us a good indication what the Storm Prediction Center is thinking, whatever type of watch that might be. If they issue that, they're thinking that these storms are going to have enough environment when they move in here. So I guess that's probably the next thing for our viewers to kind of think about.
Yeah, that's what we'll want to keep an eye on. And the Storm Prediction Center did just put out what we call a discussion regarding that watch that's in effect off to our west. And a lot of times when they issue those discussions, they'll talk about whether they're planning to issue a new watch further downstream, further to the east. There's no mention of that in this most recent discussion. So the storms are still far enough away that that's not a question they're going to want to address just yet. but no indication, at least at this point, that they're immediately thinking of putting out a watch, say in the next hour or two further to the east. But I think when we get into that 2 or 3 hour time frame from now, from 6 to maybe 7 o'clock, maybe then we'd be a little more likely to see a watch issued for our area.
Yeah, it looks like maybe East Tennessee, they've got about a 4 in 10 chance of getting a watch out there, and that's for this activity that's pushed through here that will continue to move to the east. So we'll keep an eye on it. Ray, appreciate it, and I'm sure you're getting toward the end of shift here after the next couple of hours, so we may talk to you or someone else later on, or we may just have dinner tonight and not have to worry about it.
That would be the best scenario, wouldn't it? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm here for a few more hours, and meteorologist Jay Marshak, who I know you've chatted with before a few times, is with us as well, and he'll be kind of covering the mid to late evening. So either way, we'll have someone here on top of it for you.
Sounds good, Ray. Appreciate it. Meteorologist Ray Miller joining us here on Rutherford Weather. They did just issue flood advisory too for up in Wilson County. For that storm that passed through there that had a little bit heavier rainfall, things of that nature. So just to kind of wrap things up here, probably from really, let's see, that's the John Bragg Highway to the south, out Barfield, Link, Midland, Christiana, Plainview. You're going to get heavy downpour, thunder, lightning maybe. There's one lightning strike there in the Creekwood subdivision near Indian Park and Warrior Drive, but this is just general rainfall right now. Take a look at a couple of our cameras here and probably break away for a little bit. Siegel area looking off to the northwest in Smyrna. And you can see those clouds kind of moving to the south and east as we look downtown Murfreesboro. Here's the courthouse. Seeing the rain continuing to fall, but not really seeing a whole lot of wind, things of that nature. Just a few steps back from WGNS radio, you can see the darker clouds out to the north and east, and that's from that complex that just came through. But there you go, kind of a tour around. I know meteorologist Justin Bailey has kind of been monitoring in the background, and Justin, anything to add here? I think it may be a good time for us to maybe grab an early dinner and wait and see what happens a bit later on with the storms now that we have a lull, and we'll just kind of check and see, huh?
Yeah, no, I agree. Good time to grab a bite and keep an eye on what's off to our west and pray that things mind their sanity for this evening.
Yes, mind their sanity. I like that. That may have to be maybe our motto: mind our sanity. Uh, because when we're on, it's usually, it can be crazy. But anyway, appreciate it, and we'll check in with you a bit later on if need be. And just a word about this evening, it could or could not. We'll just have to wait and see. I think Ray gave a good breakdown. But tomorrow, it's Saturday, lots of things going on. You got kids' ball games, everything, maybe going to the Smyrna Air Show, CMA in Nashville. So a lot of folks are going to be out and about. Just need to make sure that you have a source of weather information, because tomorrow could be a day of severe weather as well, another 2 out of 5. Let's see.
Yeah, it's not just a one day event. We're in a multi-day episode of strong to potentially severe weather, and it's a busy weekend. Everybody's got a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure you got a lot going on as well. We'll probably have this Discord channel up, and stuff goes. You or I may pop in and cover whatever needs covered.
That is the plan. That is the way. So with that being said, for meteorologist Ray Miller, of course, meteorologist Justin Bailey, Bryan Barrett here on the Rutherford Weather Channel, we're going to break our coverage here, but we will return if need be. So be sure to have your notifications on wherever you're watching. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and do us a big, huge favor. Comment, share, get this information out there so it'll help grow the Rutherford Weather Channel so we can reach more people with important weather information. Stay tuned. We may be back. We may not. We'll see. Got the weekend to go, so plenty of chances out there. Stay safe and stay with Rutherford Weather.